Hello, today is Monday, November 1st, 2021. I'm Joe Schmidt from TC2, and this is Staying Connected. Earlier this month, Comcast announced the closing of their acquisition of Masergy, a provider of managed WAN and cloud-based services. The specific terms weren't disclosed, but the deal closed quite quickly as it was only announced in late August. Individually, these weren't two heavyweights in the ICT arena, but maybe they will be as a combined entity. So what does it mean for enterprise buyers? Well, let's find out. To discuss this latest industry acquisition, I'm joined by my enterprise colleagues, Jack Deal, one of TC2's managing directors, and Deb Boehling, a partner at LB3. So, Jack, what will Masergy bring to Comcast?
Thanks, Joe, and that's a great question. And the answer is they'll bring enterprise business customers. At least that's what Comcast expects. A bit of history for our audience. Masergy is no newcomer to the enterprise networking space. In fact, they were founded back in 2000, so they've been around for more than 20 years. Some other key facts about Masergy. As of the date this acquisition was announced, Masergy had more than 1,400 customers in close to 100 countries, so they have scale and are a global player. Meeting the network needs of enterprise customers has long been a focus of Masergy, and they provide many of the leading service capabilities that enterprise customers would expect, including SD-WAN, SASE, UCaaS, CCaaS, and managed security offerings. They do provide a comprehensive full-service solution that include both underlying network transport capabilities, things like dedicated internet access, business broadband, etc., through relationships with network providers, likely including Comcast, and overlay managed network service offerings. This relationship model is likely a factor in the deal closing so quickly that you noted. It would have taken longer to close if Masergy had owned the underlying facilities. There would have been license transfers and a lot of other red tape to overcome. Lastly, Masergy is no stranger to acquisition. They were originally acquired back in 2016 by the private equity firm Berkshire Partners, and that's whom Comcast is acquiring them from.
Okay, thanks for that synopsis, Jack. Okay, Deb, what do you think drove Comcast to make this acquisition now? I mean, what are their goals with this?
It's pretty straightforward, Joe. 6 years ago, Comcast Cable formed Comcast Business with a focus on small to medium-sized U.S. businesses. Serving them wasn't much of a stretch from its consumer business. Comcast Business now wants growth in the global enterprise market through increased penetration, particularly U.S.-based enterprises with multi-site global operations. The larger enterprise market has been a historical challenge for Comcast Business. Although we see them more as SD-WAN continues to grow, built on business broadband transport, which is a given for Comcast Business. Adding Masergy will complement Comcast Business's product offerings portfolio for the large business segment. And Comcast Business didn't stop with Masergy. Only a week after the deal closed, Comcast Business announced it was acquiring Defined Technologies from Micro Technologies, and doing so to enter the federal government business. As to the timing, it may be a case of strike while the iron is hot. Comcast Cable, and particularly Comcast Business, unlike the other parts of Comcast Holdings' portfolio, is growing. It has experienced strong subscriber and revenue growth in 2021. Their annual run rate has grown to around $9 billion, and they added 70,000 small and medium business subscribers over the past year. Comcast Business now senses opportunity driven by large business demand for ongoing work-from-home solutions. They clearly understand that enterprises require more sophisticated and capable solutions that go beyond basic transport. And the enterprises need managed services and connectivity outside of the United States. Masergy has a mature portfolio, and they've developed the necessary expertise to deal with enterprise needs, including high-touch interactions. Comcast Business may have decided it's easier to bolt this capability on via an acquisition instead of growing it themselves.
Thanks, Deb, and that's great insight. At TC2 and LB3, we work primarily with Fortune tier clients, and we always have the needs of our global multinationals front of mind. So, Jack, what's your take on the potential benefits and drawbacks of this acquisition for enterprises?
Well, Joe, on the plus side, there are 3 potential pros for the large enterprise. I would say the most important and probably the most welcomed by legacy Comcast customers is the potential for enterprise-grade focus and execution in the areas of solution development, service delivery, operational support, and contracting that Comcast frankly lacks. Secondly, there's an opportunity for Comcast to provide stronger, more customized support versus the legacy consumer cable company type of focus. And finally, a combined Comcast Masergy becomes another player to be considered in networking opportunities outside of the US, assuming footprints align between customer and provider. Now, while we try to be optimistic and hope for nothing but benefits, there are also potential pitfalls to consider. One significant concern is Comcast forcing their legacy culture upon Masergy. As advisors in the space, we've observed Comcast having operational and execution challenges in the deployment of sophisticated WAN solutions such as SASE and SD-WAN. This may manifest if consolidating or migrating from Comcast's unsuccessful and unprofitable Versa SD-WAN platform to Masergy's Fortinet and Silver Peak solution and customized Masergy IP that goes with that. And Comcast's legacy consumer focus makes pricing negotiations and contracting more challenging for enterprises. The second potential drawback is not being able to meet the scale requirements of the global enterprise. Masergy is a capable MES provider, but not in the same tier as the likes of AT&T, Lumen, Verizon, Orange Business Services, or British Telecom when considering large networks. We see them a little in the Fortune space, but our sense of it is that Masergy's primary customers are more medium versus large sized. So some potential gap areas to consider include available bandwidth, which may be insufficient, particularly for cloud connections during peak times. Outside the US, Masergy's reach beyond major metropolitan areas is limited, and AT&T, Lumen, Verizon, OBS, and BT tend to be better at making service available to customers with rural locations, often manufacturing sites, and delivering on their SLAs. They're simply more experienced in those areas.
So, Deb, if you're an enterprise, what should you do?
Well, Joe, we advise enterprises to be cautious in embracing the combined entity in the short term. It will be important to exercise due diligence with respect to your enterprise level requirements, including testing the waters on competitiveness, especially on flexibility of contract terms. The best way to perform this is by using a structured targeting sourcing process, like an RFI or an RFP. During this process, companies should ask for and speak with customer references that have similar scope and geographic distribution. Specific areas to explore include the implementation experience, account team, and NOC support, and their knowledge of the products and ability to solve problems. In short, trust but verify, which is to say, be skeptical until competency is demonstrated. Other areas to explore that may mitigate some of the risk: actually test the waters. Seek a trial of the services, and if you get pushback, then think about ordering a circuit, maybe at a greenfield location and one that is in a rural or a more difficult area, and seek a right to terminate that if you're not satisfied with the performance. If the decision is made to proceed with the new entity, make sure you have backup plans and seek a right to terminate for repeated SLA or delivery problems, including a refusal to provide a circuit that you seek. And this would make you have to use your own broadband portfolio more often than you had desired. If you have a contract with Comcast Business for network services and are considering Masergy after the cautions mentioned above, analyze the existing contract for its impact on the Masergy proposal. Are the Masergy circuits cheaper than the Comcast circuits managed by Masergy? If you use the Comcast circuits, what impact will it have on your obligations to Masergy? Can you terminate the Masergy management if the Comcast circuits fail? Can you terminate the Comcast circuits if Masergy fails to properly manage them? If you already have a contract with both Masergy and Comcast, at a minimum, we recommend reviewing, analyzing each contract, and seeking to consolidate all services into a single contract that reflects the best terms from each, recognizing that your leverage is improved should your needs for the services be growing, or you need a new service that Comcast Business offers.
All right. Thanks, Deb. And thank you as well, Jack. Now, let's cross our fingers that the benefits of the Comcast Masergy combination will ultimately outweigh the constraints. If you do want to talk about the combined Comcast Masergy, or if you have other ICT questions and needs, please contact Deb, Jack, me, or any of our LB3 and TC2 colleagues by giving us a call or dropping us an email. You can also stay up to date by subscribing to these Staying Connected podcasts, by checking out our websites, and by following us on LinkedIn.